Greetings, Commanders, and welcome back to Elite Dangerous, the Deep Space Carrier series. We're continuing to do all of our exobiology stuff here in the black, trying to get our fleet carrier from the bubble out to Colonia, which is our first destination, but hopefully not our last. We're going to be going way out into the black. Just pick something kind of easy to do. I don't want to say easy to do. Something that seems relatively easy to do for our first journey for our fleet carrier. I wanted to spend a little bit of time at the beginning of this episode addressing a comment I received, which I responded to in depth on my channel, but I know most people probably don't read comments, so, you know, I wanted to address it here because he made some fair, or they, whoever it was, made some fair points, and some fair points based on their perspective. I don't agree with their perspective on a lot of it, but I did want to kind of address it because it illustrates something I know to be true from like years of experience at this point, that you can be, two different sides of an argument can be right depending on their perspective and how they see things. But before we get into all that, I want to do my standard blurb of, hey, help us reach the 10,000 subscriber mark by hitting that subscribe button, hit the like button to spread the video out to more people, and then when you're done watching this video, head over to the channel. We have more than 1,600 other videos available for you to watch, all different kinds of videos, and they're organized in a nice, neat little playlist, so be sure to go check that out when you're done here. So that said, I recently had a video. My videos lately, especially my Elite Dangerous stuff, have gotten a little bit negative. I don't want to say a little bit. They've gotten pretty negative. Mostly just because when you... how do I put this? Things wear on you after a while, and there are certain things about this game, as I've said ad nauseum, that really get under my skin with the way that the developers chose to implement things. And from my perspective, I disagree with the idea that a lot of the tasks that require you to manually do things or to pay specific attention to different things, I disagree with the thought process for that. When we're in these ships that are supposed to be super advanced and should have the ability to just automate everything for you outside of, say, like combat or something like that. And that's the way from which I approach the way I think things should be in the game. Now, other people are obviously going to have a different point of view on that. Other people like having a game that requires them to constantly be doing something, and that's fine. That's not an unreasonable point of view. It's just one I disagree with because that's a personal preference thing, not really a logical argument as far as I can tell. Especially in this particular situation. But anyways, I'm sorry. I'm pre-defending myself, and it's not a very helpful way to do this. The person made it clear that a lot of the things that I say are personal preference kind of things, and you're absolutely right. I have a personal preference based off of what I think is right, and I'm going to argue what I think based off of what I think is right. I do want to say that I don't necessarily... I agree with the... I agree that attacking people based off of their personal preferences is definitely not a good idea. And I do recall saying something along the lines of hardcore people... I don't think I said hardcore people suck, but I said something along the lines of people who have a hardcore mentality. I had something negative to say about that, and that's probably not the best way to go. I agree. I disagree with the hardcore... I disagree with forcing hardcore mechanics on people, but people who enjoy that stuff aren't bad, and I didn't mean to imply that. I was mostly just saying that I'm mostly saying that people who have a hardcore mentality, who believe that it should be forced on people if you want to play my game, like that, to me, that's an entitled attitude. It's as entitled as the commenter believes that I am about the game. It's just as entitled to think that because you have a hardcore mentality that's more difficult, you know, you have the moral high ground or something to decide that everybody else should have to do that too. I fundamentally disagree with that premise. But I do agree with their point that, you know, my personal preferences don't outweigh theirs either. So it has to be some kind of a give and take. I'm also just kind of trying to remember what the comments said, so I'm meandering around a little bit on that. Let's take a second before I continue with my little thing here, and then let's see, our fleet carrier is over here, so let's try to find something like over here. 79. That's good. Just looking, we're looking for exobiology. We already have a tritium hotspot nearby that I can go mine probably off camera, because I think we already did a mining video this week, so I don't need to do another one. So I agreed with a couple of things, or I agree with one of the things that they said. I disagreed with most of their argument, not because I think that they're not because I don't think they're making a good argument, but just because, like most things, where you start from with your logical thought process is going to highly determine the outcome that you reach at the end of your thought process. So it's entirely possible to make a logical argument for something and still and be correct in the way that you're getting to your conclusion, but someone else can. I'm trying to avoid the word wrong, because most of the time an argument isn't completely wrong. It's a different outcome based off of where you start. So I keep trying to say wrong, but it's not. They're not wrong. From their point of view, they are right. But I can start from a different place and use logical reasoning to come to a reasonable conclusion based off of the way that I think about things. So it would probably help if I actually had the comment up, but I don't want to just read the comment and all of that stuff. That's just kind of ridiculous. My fundamental problem with some of the things in this game is just that there's a lot of tedium in it. And I think I talked about it in one of the last episodes, but because this person commented on it, they were talking about how, if you're not interested in difficulty, then don't play the game. And I'm like, this game isn't like difficult. It's not hard. There's nothing like, there's few things that are difficult about this game, and I don't mean to. If that's what I was implying, like if I was to try, if you were getting the idea that I feel like this game is too difficult, it's not. There's nothing difficult about this game. It's more that there's just a lot of what I feel to be unnecessary tedium in the game. Tedium that could be easily addressed by automating some things or simplifying some things and making it so that you don't have to spend so much of your mental energy doing the things that they decided that you should be doing. I'm not a fan of arbitrary effort, arbitrary tedium, arbitrary, forcing me to pay attention to things that I don't necessarily need to be paying attention to. And I know that recently I've become more and more frustrated with that, and I'm trying to take a step back from allowing that to be a thing that gets to me. I think like most people, nobody's perfect. Everybody's gonna go down roads that they really shouldn't be going down, and I'm no exception. I'm not trying to portray myself as this awesome person just because I get on a camera and start posting some things online. I'm perfectly aware that I screw things up, and lately my videos have not been what I really want them to be, so I'm going to try to change that. I think my favorite part of how do I present this in a way that doesn't appear to be sarcastic? I don't want to be sarcastic about it. They made a comment saying something to the effect of, it seems like I don't have the cognitive load to be able to present this game and participate in the things in the game at the same time. And that's certainly possible. My argument to them was, I have a couple hundred videos on here, and most of them I think went pretty well. I think I do. I just think lately my mindset lately just hasn't been in the right place, and it's causing me to get frustrated, and I'm approaching it from a perspective of it was just one body, right? It was just one body, right? Yeah, I think so. I've allowed these things to get to me a little bit more than they probably should. In the end, it is just a video game, and I've been taking it a little bit too seriously, I think. So I'm gonna try to dial that back a little bit and be a little bit more calm about things, because nobody wants to watch some person freaking out on the internet over a freaking video game. It's just a video game. It's not that big of a deal. And it's easy to lose yourself in your own thought processes and the way you think things should be, and then turn that into a reason to get angry about something. And you know, that's, to be honest with you, that's a big problem, a big part of what's wrong with the world today, is that everybody gets in their own head and they think that what they want is the most important thing, and then we all end up fighting each other over it because we can't separate what's important from what's not important. How did we already get all those jumps done? We haven't really found much in the way of let's see, let's go over like this way. That's only 60. Let's do this guy. There we go. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm coughing so much. So, you know, I think I understand their point, because it was probably somebody who only watched that one video and they haven't seen any of my other videos. And when you see something like that and you only have the one thing to look at, or even if they watched like the few latest videos that I've been doing, I know I've been going kind of down a negative spiral with this game lately. Part of it, I'm sure, is a little bit of burnout, but realistically, I kind of like the fact, one of the reasons that this series has continued on as much as it has is because, for the most part, it's a game where I can just kind of get on here and mostly mindlessly do things without a lot of effort, and focus more on just kind of talking to you guys and trying to, you know, share something with you, share some things with you, or just, you know, enjoy just kind of hanging out in space with you guys. And I know the last few episodes have just not been... If that's what you're looking for, that's not what those videos have been. So I'm not going to take them down or anything. I'm not really trying to apologize for those being that way. We all go down roads that we don't. I know I already said that. We all go down roads that we don't really want to go down. And even like, I'm the kind of person that when I get frustrated and angry, I can be in the middle of a tirade, like shouting about things, and I know. The logical part of myself knows that I'm being ridiculous and should stop, but then the emotional part is like, nah, F that. We're gonna lose our mind now. And you know, I think most of us, I think a lot of us are like that. Well, you can be in the middle of a ridiculous argument, and you know it's ridiculous, and you know you should stop, but you're still like, your pride gets in the way, and you're just like, nope, I'm gonna say what I want to say. That's just kind of the way that a lot of us work. I try not to be that way, but realistically, I'm that way a lot. So, and then, you know, so one of the major points that I don't know that they meant to make it a major point, but it's something that I want to bring it up here because I've already addressed it several times, and it's that they have this idea that by participating in the game, by participating in these activities, that I'm supporting it and that I actually want these things to be in the game, and I can't disagree more with that position. I put up with those things because overall what I get out of this game is more positive than the negative things that I have to put up with to be in the game. That doesn't, like, it's a more nuanced kind of thing than just you either like it or you don't. And if you're going to do these things, then you're showing that you like it. And it's like, oh, I disagree with that. It is possible to like something overall and then have issues with it that you would like to see addressed. Most things in life are like that. Nothing is perfect. No matter how awesome you like, if you're an Elite Dangerous fanboy through and through, I think that's a problem. I think that's no game is perfect. No game is exactly the way that it should be, or even probably the way that you would like it to be, no matter how much you enjoy this game. So, you know, making the statement that playing the game is telling the developers that, you know, everything in the game is the way that it is the way that I want it to be. I disagree with that position. There are a lot of things that I really love. The ship design, the way the ships fly, the in-system travel method, for the most part I like. There are specific aspects of it that I don't, and I've made very clear which ones I don't. But just zooming around the star system is fun for the most part. It's the planetary landings and stuff that I generally end up having an issue with because of how finicky they can be. You know, and they're finicky in a way that I don't think they need to be. So you can like something overall, but still have things that you're like, dude, this really should be different. This really should be more streamlined or more efficient. Should make better use of my time, because at the end of the day, you know, time is the most valuable resource that we have. Ooh, we have some. You know what? We're gonna go ahead and go scan. No, we already got. Yeah, we'll go ahead and go scan that. We're almost at the end of our week here, so the odds of finding anything. We have this episode and one more, and then we have we'll have the live stream. So we have a couple of biological sources here, and I'm not really. I think we're good. We'll go land on this one. We'll grab as much biology as we can. Then, you know, I'll be able to head back to the carrier. Let's get the Super Cruise Assist on here. So I'm doing my best to try to represent the arguments and everything as best as I can. I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth or anything. I mostly just want to. The comment itself was a reasonable comment. It was very well thought out. It was clearly intended to be something that was helpful. And I appreciate it when viewers leave comments like that rather than just leaving some kind of trolly comment that's just, you know, I like comments like that rather than the "you just need to get good, bro." Like, there's only certain things in this game that you need to get good at. Everything else is just tedium, and there's plenty of content creators out there who have made that very same point. There's we talk about how this game is like 1,000 miles wide and an inch deep, right? There isn't really much difficulty in this game. It's mostly that there's just a lot of tedium. And the tedium wears on you after a while, and you kind of get tired of it, and you're just like, can we just automate this process? I don't mind putting the time in. Things should require time to get done to make them worth the result that you're getting out of it. It doesn't necessarily require the active engagement that many of the processes in this game require you to put in to get the reward that you're trying to get. I understand that a lot of people see an input of effort as being a basic requirement of getting some kind of a reward. That, again, is a point of view that people have that isn't necessarily logically correct when you consider all of the options, at least logically correct as far as I can see. There's plenty of things in the world that we do that don't require a lot of effort, but you still get some kind of reasonable reward out of it. There's plenty of people today who go to work in office jobs. They don't really put too much effort in, and they still get a pretty decent paycheck, right? We have we have developed a world where we've constantly been making more and more things more and more convenient, and we get way more reward out of the lives that we have today than people did 100 years ago, who had to put in the same amount of time, but also had to put in much more increased amounts of effort to get much less than what we have today. So the basic premise that, you know, effort equals reward, the more we get into the future, the less that actually makes sense, because the whole point of all of most of the technology that we've been developing has been to make our lives easier while still reaping the rewards of whatever it is that we're trying to get done in an easier way. So that's, and I want to make it clear, my issues with the game is not difficulty. It's not that I think that things are unfair. It's not that I think that, you know, hold on, I got to stop and focus. I do have to stop and focus on this, because if I don't super pay attention to the speed as we're coming in, I'm going to slam into the atmosphere, and then I'm going to be annoyed again. So let me just, I have to stop for this part, because you really do have to watch the numbers. I just want to make sure that we're not going to, why is my lungs are just not happy right now. Okay, I think we're probably okay. But again, right here, I'm having to stop talking to pay attention to the numbers, when realistically the throttle should just have an auto control on it and just pull me in at the proper speed, you know, like. This is part of the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is that we're supposed to be in these super advanced spaceships, you know. The technology that we have today is already capable of doing all of the things that I would prefer that we are able to do in this game. We already have the technology right now to do that. And, you would think that being far, far into the future, that these ships would have far, far more capability, yet we still have to do all of these manual tasks that really should be done by the computer. And that's my argument. Like, it's not a difficulty thing. It's not a, you know, like if there was a logical reason for making these things as manual as they are, then, you know, I could kind of see it. I could kind of be like, okay, well, you know what? Like I play DC, or I do DCS. That's a hyper realistic flight sim that's difficult. It's hard. You have to learn a lot of stuff. You have to learn a lot of skills to make it work, or to be decent at it. It's not something that you can just hop into and just mindlessly do things. You have to know what you're doing, and you have to do that stuff. And in that particular environment, it makes sense because it's the real world equivalent of what we actually have to do in that plane to make it work. And it's perfectly reasonable for all the things in there to be as manual to control as they are. But at the same time, it does have a lot of computer assists in it, even for the time that the Hornet, like I have the F-18 Hornet, you know, that's a relatively old airplane, but they automated as much of that as they could to reduce the load on the pilot, to make it so that they could focus as much on flying, and so that they could focus as much on the secondary tasks that they need to do as possible, rather than just spending all of your attention concentrating on flying the aircraft. And, you know, aircraft in general, I do have my pilot's license. I have a little bit of experience in this. Aircraft in general are designed in a way to, you know, take as much load off the pilot as possible, so that they can focus on other things while they're flying. Because there are myriad other things that you could be doing while you're flying, rather than just focusing on, nope, I got to make sure I pay attention and don't slam into the atmosphere of this planet, like, you know. And so, like, I'm not trying to get back into the negative mindset. I know it sounds like it. I'm trying to illustrate why I think my argument makes more sense, and it's because the ship itself is supposed to be in a time period where all of these things absolutely would be automated as much as possible, so that the pilot doesn't have to do anything other than just say that, like, realistically, these ships would be set up in a way where you just tell the ship what you want and it would do it for you. Now, that would not be fun. I do agree that there does need to be a reasonable amount of manual input. Like, obviously, you know, realistically, in the future, you would be able to tell your ship, "Hey, go land me on this planet," and the ship would do it for you. I do agree that there is a bit of a limit to how far the automation should go for a video game. I just think it's just my opinion that the limit that has been chosen is a little too far in the direction of it being manual for what I think is reasonable. Obviously, that's my personal opinion, and I would continue to argue from that point that that's the way that it should be. However, all of that said, I do appreciate it when viewers leave thoughtful comments that are that are well thought out. They don't come from a place of oh, hold on, we had to find that other planet that had the biology on it. It's probably this guy here, because it has an atmosphere and it's landable. Yes, that's it. Let's head over to that one. I appreciate thoughtful comments that are, you know, they clearly spent some time on what they wanted to say. It wasn't just a bunch of trolly crap that was intended to just, I don't like what you had to say, so I'm just going to say this. Like, I appreciate it when people take the time to make a thoughtful comment, and I'm not upset in the slightest that they said what they said, because they weren't mean about it. I disagree with what they said for the most part. Turn off. Okay. I got. It's like it's really hard to use the Super Cruise overdrive when it's close like this. So I gotta anticipate. And now I have to turn away to get. Okay. I'm just gonna sit here for a second until my speed slows down. So yeah, I'm gonna try to stop making a big deal about these things that, like they said, they're not going to change, because, and I've said it multiple times, they're not going to change, so continuing to complain about them is just kind of pointless. obviously that's one of those things. But like I said, I mostly just wanted to address the comment here, not because I want to fight against their comment. That's not my intent. I think that based off of where they come from, off of like their viewpoint, their argument is absolutely sound. It makes a lot of sense. They're not wrong in the slightest based off of what they think things should be. We just have different points of view on how we think things should be. And I think that I've laid out my case as to why things should be a certain way. They've laid out their case as to why they think that the way things are is reasonable, and we just disagree, and it's okay. You can disagree with somebody about something, and realistic. There's a lot of. I want to say that when it comes to things that are opinion based, both sides can be absolutely right, and both sides can have absolutely logical arguments as to why they're right, because it's an opinion, and an opinion by its very nature is based off of the personal preferences of the person who has the opinion. So, you know, I don't want to take anything away from anybody based off of something that is, at the end of the day, personal preference. I have my personal preferences, and I have logical reasons as to why I think my personal preferences are right. And realistically, I don't know that anybody could come up with a fact-based argument, or I don't know that anybody could come up with a way to overcome my personal preferences, because they're based off of what I want, not necessarily facts that, you know, there are people out there who say something, who is it that says, Ben Shapiro, right? He says, facts don't care about your feelings. I kind of agree with that sentiment for the most part, but when it comes to opinions, you know, opinions are like a-holes. Everybody has one, and most of them stink. And, you know, you're entitled to your opinion. We are all entitled to our opinion. You can have the opinion that this game is perfect the way it is and doesn't need to be changed at all. And you're absolutely right. And I can have the opinion that this game has some serious tedium issues that need to be removed. And I am also absolutely right, because in each of those statements, it starts from the position of, what do you want out of the game? What do I want out of this game? I want to maximize my enjoyment of feeling like I'm in space, and I want to remove as many things that detract from that enjoyment as possible. Other people want to have a hardcore experience where they feel like they're doing something difficult and meaningful in space, and they want to make sure that everything in the game serves that particular interest, and they're also absolutely right, because that's what they want out of the game. That's their starting point. So I think the biggest mistake I made in that video, or whatever video it was where I said what I said, is that you know, making it seem like I was I don't know that I was, but making it seem like I was attacking people based off of their personal preference. I disagree with that mentality, and I was absolutely incorrect for saying something like that. I will take the onus of that. But as far as the rest of my concerns about the game, the things that I would like to see changed, it's my personal preference. It's the way I want it to be. It's the way I think it should be, and I can't see any real argument against that other than, no, I want it to be this way, and no one can win from that perspective. So anyways, we're gonna go ahead and close out this video. I've talked about this enough. I'll try to be more positive in the future and leave my own personal drama out of things. I know that that's not fun to watch, so I'm gonna try to pull back on that a little bit. Be sure to like the video to spread it out to other people. Join the channel, or subscribe to the channel to help us reach that 10,000 subscriber mark. Join as a member if you'd like to support what we're doing here and get early access to videos, among other perks. Or you can just leave YouTube's version of a tip with the thanks button. Again, thank you very much for your time. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Deep Space Carrier series here in Elite Dangerous, and I'll see you for the next one.